safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Erick Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
And with you live from beautiful Las Vegas. Jay, you got me?
Yeah, I got you. My bad, man.
It's all good. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Just all right?
Yeah.
How are the Tomahawks this weekend?
I ain't get to it, man. I was sick.
Jay,
I still am, no, man. When you sick, man, I just need soup. I did try to make my own Harrison yesterday. I saw this guy on TikTok, and he makes noodles, put a boiled egg in there, and all that stuff. It looked better when he did it. So on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being great, it was a 1.3, 1.4.
I thought you could cook, Foreman.
I can. I just haven't. I got that's that.
Harrison, didn't you hear he was sick? He was off.
Yeah. Hey, there's no Jordan flu game with me.
That's too bad. That is just too bad. Are you going to give it a try again, that recipe, and you get to feeling better?
Yeah, I did it because I'm inspired. Because it must be the algorithm. I don't know whether you call it.
Yeah.
I don't know who owns TikTok. But as soon as I started talking about it, it's all videos I've ever seen. Making noodles.
We love algorithms. No, we don't. It's okay. We do love the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. I can only assume that's where Jay Foreman got his tomahawk steaks that he wasn't able to get to. Jay, what do you love about the Mercado?
Well, I love the butcher shop. I did check the weather this week. Now, health-wise permitting, it is a full-fledged. This is a 7-dayer. You know what that is, Harrison?
No, sounds
go to
promising.
the Mercado, into the butcher shop, and 7 days a week you can grill. And the last time I was just there like a week and a half ago. They had these big, thick old pork chops, man. Man, you could do some work with that, Harrison.
They got some good seafood too.
Yeah, they got everything you want, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fresh, and then they also, the best part about it is, for say you're a parent coming home after work. Traffic's bad. You can pop in there and buy like single serving and family size meals. So it's all good. So it's like, I'm telling you, I always tell people when you go in there, Austin and Harrison, you always tell somebody that's in their element. It's just like when kids go in the candy store, go to like Target or something. I mean, Harrison, I know you don't have kids. Austin, you will you will realize once they get mobile and get into Target, get in the toy section, it's like a good. Hey, Austin, if you ever got the kids for the weekend, it's a good 45-minute workout for them.
Well, Jay, you act like that's not me right now, and my wife having to try to pull me back into line.
Yeah, but
I am the kid.
Well, this is just forecasting that you add to the crew. It's 45 minutes because they'll go up and down each toy section and read the labels and everything. But that's the way it is when I go into Mercado. It's straight business. You're looking at every cut, every single type of slice of meat, every combination that you possibly could, come up with.
That is true. You start feeling a little gourmet after about 10 minutes.
You know, it's like
walking different.
You know what it is? It's like if you went into Myers Corcovado, Kevin Myers Corcovado 13s and Stouts, and you start to look at the good wines, you all of a sudden become a wine connoisseur and start. What is it? The legs that Kevin talked about when you swish it around or whatever. You start to become a lot more intelligent about your meats, Austin.
That you do, and heaven only knows I need to be more intelligent about my meats. I like eating them. Do I know how to cook them? Absolutely not. I can get by. I am far from a grill master, so I need some help on that front, Jay. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all good. I mean,
I'll get there. I hope.
The one thing I have learned, I mean, it doesn't got to be sports all the time. The one thing I will tell you is, I was blessed to see my grandfather grill and my uncle grill when I was younger.
Which uncle?
My uncle Butch.
Okay.
His real name is Francis. I shouldn't even be telling you. I don't think
Uncle Butch. First time he didn't hear.
But he's got like 5 nicknames, right? His real name is Francis. He's named after our grandfather, Big Hughes, Big Hoss. That's his nickname. But I got to see him grill, and then I got to see all my grandma and aunts and extended family do their thing in the kitchen. Picked up a little stuff, but my dad told me one time. I remember he was cooking for us for me, and then this is actually, when I was in the first couple years in the NFL, he's like, man, you just got to try it. So, when you go there, it's just like when people try to smoke a brisket. When that 15-6, that's staying power. No, I don't think there's ever been a good grill master that hasn't messed up a brisket.
Rite of passage.
It's too hard. It's just, did you know who had the worst brisket ever?
You?
No, I haven't done one yet. I've been scared. Hey, Austin, we're supposed to be teammates.
We are. I don't know. You asked me to guess, so I guess.
Lincoln Riley. You remember?
Oh, the Easter brisket, dude.
Yeah, hey,
let me a slab of gray.
Hey, Harrison, this thing was dry, like some skin in the Sudan desert. He's like, he was like, Happy Easter or Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Easter, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't something that you shouldn't have put out there, but yeah, I think that look, I remember not knowing, direct and indirect heat, with stuff and how to do certain things. And, you're just kind of, when you really need to marinate it, room temperature and stuff like that. So you learn as you go, man. I consider myself pretty good. Not the best, definitely not the worst, but take some pride in it. You'll learn. And plus the great thing about it, you got a bunch of great chefs on the internet.
True.
Yeah.
That you do. I will let me respond to David from Renew, his text on our Starter Human Jewelers text line here. First of all, I prefer my steak dinners the same way that David does, and that's paid for by Jay Foreman. But that's another story for another day. It's not that I can't. It's not that I can't grill. I get by. I get through. But my confidence is like on Jay's 1 to 7 scale. It's like a solid 2.5 or a 3. The meat will get cooked. It won't be over. It won't be under. It'll be there. But I'm the guy that has to meddle. I have to check it all the time. I'm not good at just sitting back and waiting. I do not have the patience. I'm the guy flipping up and flipping down the grill constantly because I don't trust it, because I don't trust myself. I just got to do it more. I just got to grill more because it turns out okay or better every time. I just don't have the confidence in it.
Austin, let me tell you something. As you add to your family, and then obviously you got your young one right now. Once they get of age, they'll tell you it's unfiltered. It's unfiltered. Harrison, you ever heard of the story about the macaroni and cheese?
No.
Man, Austin, you know this, right? So
I think I know where you're going.
My dad makes this really good macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And, he puts all the cheeses in it. So I got all that, down. That's pretty easy. But the way he does it and the mix and all that and does it. But he puts a little bit of blue cheese in there. I just knew he put blue cheese in there. But now here's where I did save myself some grace. I made a regular pan of what I usually make, which is definitely, decent or, they like. But the first one I brought out was a small pan of like how I thought my dad, I can't even tell you, I thought my dad liked it. When I tell you, my two daughters, listen, they was like, they took a couple bites, and you could just tell they didn't like it, but they being nice. And then afterwards, the delight when they saw the second pan, and they were like, "What's in this one? Is blue cheese in this one?" I was like, "Nah, this is one that whatever." They killed it. The next day, we were going to like Lost in Fun or something. They were like, "Daddy, don't ever put that blue cheese in there." I put too much blue cheese in there. That's it. One other time, my youngest, I'll tell you this. It was like I was down in Charlotte and got a VRBO, and so I was taking them to school, that next morning. So I, made lunches. So I made some cookies, right? The ones where you just get out and you just throw them in there.
Yeah, pre-made.
So if they say if you need to cook it for 12 minutes, you actually need to cook it for like 8.5, so they're a little softer and I cooked it for 12. These things are like rock biscuits. They ate them, man, and they appreciated it. But I know that, man. I was like, man, there's going to be the dentist appointment. So Austin, don't worry, it happens, man. But now they got those like little, thermometers and stuff like that. It's worth the money. Where you especially with you got a little man running around Austin. When you plan on flipping it every 4 minutes, it can turn into 8. But as long as you get the little update on your phone, you'll be good.
So I'm not that high tech. I do have one friend who I've been to a number of weddings with him, high school buddy of mine, and the wedding gift that he gets for every wedding that he goes to is he gets people the meat thermometer. I'm not doing any of the infrared Bluetooth stuff. I'm not there yet. I'm not that high tech. But he's actually getting married here in about a month, so he's going to get his own little manual meat thermometer. So I do have one. It's just not probably as bougie as yours.
No, I don't have. I got the one you stick in. The only thing that's good is that on the side of it, it lets you know poultry and pork and like steaks and stuff what the temperature should be. And then with steaks it's medium, well, rare. It gets a little temperature thing. And then when you put it in there, you always got to put it in the middle. Then it lights up. I don't have the one where you could get it on your phone. I haven't got that point.
That's a game changer.
3 grills, but no phone thermometer. Come on, Jay.
Yeah, but we're consolidating here soon, Austin.
Oh,
we're consolidating.
You might have a buyer. Keep me posted.
Yeah, we're consolidating. We're in negotiations with myself right now. I will tell you this: if Jake Sorensen and Nick Sainer would ever sell story time, I could go get it. So listen, if there's any who sells grills around here? We need a sponsorship from them.
We do.
I'll do a little grilling show. Grilling with Jay. They were like, hey, we're glad he ain't feeding the football team. They'd be malnourished. The only thing I'll make sure I do that I have not perfected is like fish. I do not want to ever undercook fish or chicken.
Fish is pretty easy, though.
It's easier now, but I will not undercook chicken. I flip chicken constantly. Because I ain't trying to have nobody get salmonella.
No salmonella, no trichinosis, no.
That hurt my pride, man. That might put me in retirement, It's like when, Rocky didn't want to fight anymore. I might be just in retirement.
You can't be serving dried chicken, though.
It's not dry, though. There's a trick to it, though. I can't tell you. You got to constantly flip it. And if it's bone in, you got to really fillet it a little bit because it always takes a little bit longer with the bone in.
All right.
Distribute that heat evenly.
Yeah.
Cooking show. We need it.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of distributing the heat evenly, one seeds dished out all the heat, Jay. Which one seed in the NCAA tournament were you most impressed with making to the Final Four this weekend?
Well, I think the most dominant looking was Duke. I think they surprised people, at least I guess me. Not necessarily. Everybody's talking about their size because they're if they play Florida, that's the biggest team out there. I feel like I just think their superior skill and more importantly, their physicality and toughness is I think was really what separated them from Alabama. I mean, Cooper Flagg didn't really get off in the first half. You had Proctor and everybody else step up, and then what's his name, Khan
Knipple.
Yeah, he has a great for KK got busy, and then obviously the monster in the middle was just not only blocking shots but affecting shots, and they're a deep team, I think, but they look the best overall, the most dominant. Now a few days off can eliminate that, and plus I felt like their style and the situation against Alabama led to the performance, but for them to do it against multiple runs by Alabama was impressive. Then besides that, Florida, I think they keep their, that rabbit foot's going to, run out, I think. You know what I mean? As far as the way they played. I like Houston. I think they are carrying the weight of the nation right now. Awesome. Okay? Because let me tell you something. This is going to be a different animal than Duke has ever played.
But Jay,
what?
This is a very similar animal to the team that Duke played last year. The difference is Jamal Shed is out, Milos Uzan is in. I'm glad you mentioned Florida and the Rabbit's foot. I mean, that was one of the most impressive runs of the tournament. I mean, 3s on 4 straight possessions to come back and tie the game, ultimately take the lead on Tech was impressive. Auburn just kind of coasted, but to me, the two teams that looked the best were Houston and Duke from start to finish, right? Houston choked the life out of Tennessee early, and Duke got out to a 15-5 start and really just put it in cruise control, kept Alabama at arm's length from there. I am so fascinated by this Duke-Houston game. It's the number 1 versus number 2 team on BartTorvik.com. It's been that way since like mid-February or so. We got 4 of the highest rated teams according to some numbers of all time, right? Not just this decade, not just this year. The nerds were right with this one, right? We had an elite, for lack of a better word, elite 8 with 8 of the top 9 teams at KenPom. Now you get the top 4, all in the Final Four. But this Duke-Houston game, you mentioned physicality and toughness for Duke. Those 2 traits were what was tested the first 2 years under John Shire. In a 4-5 game, they got Tennessee 2 years ago. Tennessee sunned them, just bully balled them, right? Duke wasn't mentally tough enough. They weren't physically tough enough. Last year, Jamal Shed goes down right before halftime. Duke guts out a win in the 50s. It was a super low-scoring game. They found a way to do it. Houston's the number 1 defense in the country. Not far behind them in the top 5. At some sites, it's number 2, but it's top 5 pretty much everywhere, is Duke. And Houston shoots some of the best percentages from 3 of any team in the country, but now they're going up against the number 1 offense in the country in Duke. Duke is so incredibly well-balanced. Houston has taken some huge steps forward on offense, and that's where, looking at this from the Duke lens here, Jay, Duke knows it can beat this team. Houston's not big. It only has 1 player in its rotation that's 6'9" or taller, and that's Juwan Roberts, who did give Duke some fits at times last year. But the other thing Houston has going for it is that revenge factor. It's not the same team, but it's pretty much the same team. They graduated 1 guy. They lost 1 guy to transfers. That's a team that's going to be hungry, that's going to be motivated. They got upset last year as the 1 seed in that region by Duke, who was a 4 seed. So I think if you look on the basketball on paper in terms of matchups, in terms of numbers, it's going to tell you Duke is the favorite. But man, a hungry Kelvin Sampson, a Houston team with something to prove, that's a dangerous beast for the betting favorite in Duke to draw in the Final Four, not the title game.
Yeah, I think, the size disadvantage for Houston actually could be the kryptonite for Duke, because I think the way that Houston plays its defense, really nullifies the size disadvantage, where I think the way that Alabama plays, like defense is kind of discretionary, really, really worked for Duke. I don't think, and I'll say this, and I think Duke, it will pull through. I think they're going to have a little trouble they're going to have trouble in the beginning, go on a run, Houston to make a run, but I just think their free throw shooting will win every game for them. But when you have Cooper Flagg and you have that many defensive busts as far as Alabama in that first half, that's not going to happen with Houston. Mm-hmm. So Houston's going to have to do a really good job of making Duke uncomfortable. And, when Duke started out fast, there was no rebound from Bama defensively. Their only answer was, let's shoot some more threes. Well, if they would have got Nelson going, when they got him in pick and rolls and kind of I loved when Derek Walker played Derek Walker. Mm-hmm. They were more efficient on offense. Then they went away from it because they were trying to get Sears going. They almost had that, what I call Austin revisionist history, where they kept replaying the game where they hit all those threes. Well, Duke was essentially running, center of the court pick and roll and really just on the elbow extended to the 3-point line pick and roll. They were like a practice squad team. And so Houston has to look at what Alabama didn't do and then find out what Alabama made them do when they were able to make a little run. focus on that, and then they obviously have to shoot well enough for three to keep Duke honest. If they think they're going to be able to get paint touches, get it up off the glass, and like in offensive rebound, Duke to death, this game is going to be over.
Well, here's the thing. I'll push back on that a little bit. Despite the size, Duke is pretty middle of the road when it comes to rebounding, right? They're a pretty good offensive rebounding team, but Houston is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in
over
the
the
country.
Last 5 years. Yeah, for sure.
This year, last year, for a handful of years under Sampson now. So I really do think that Houston could get after Duke on the offensive glass quite a little bit, but then it's going to come down to, can they get those paint touches? I mean, Alabama did. Alabama shot 25 layups. They made only 12 of them. It's not like Alabama didn't get there, but when you have that length in the paint, Duke was able to contest it pretty well. The big test for me, Jay, is going to be with Duke's guards, right? It can Sion James, can Tyrese Proctor, and can Con Knippel take care of the ball and against Houston's really aggressive blitz? And sometimes when they switch too, can you get the ball to Flag or another guard in the middle of the floor, with a quick bounce pass, with a little pocket pass, and create numbers advantages, right? Because Houston's going to want to force turnovers. They're going to want to be physical and force traps up there in the corner. So if you're Houston, right, don't allow middle. If you're Duke, get to the middle. That's really what this game's going to come down to, like it always does, right? It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy against defenses as good as Houston and Duke's are.
I mean, you know how it is. It's always, you're going to expect Cooper Flag to, and star players to play well. And then it's going to be who's that one player, that really plays well off the bench, or, is the third or fourth option that really, leads the team to victory or puts Houston over the hump. I think when you think about what Houston has to do, they have to find a way to. And one thing I didn't like about Bama, they didn't run enough action to get the big man out of the middle. They allowed him to play the farthest away from the hoop they got him was at the free throw line. He came back and threw it in the first row. Like, he can recover. You got to get him out. Now, whether if you tried to get him in a pin down and a pick and roll situation where he's matched up on a guard and you hit a couple outside shots, you got to confuse him a little bit and get him away from the hoop. So then you can shoot a higher percentage at or around the rim, and then particularly in the paint than Bama did.
It's great in theory, except that Malawat does move his feet pretty well. I mean, he locked up Sears a couple times. And, by the way, here comes American Giannis, Cooper Flag from the weak side to swat it into the second row if you get there anyways, right?
It sounds good. It sounds good, Austin. I'm giving you the best case scenario. And then you got was it number 21 that comes off the bench?
Dude, Jay, he's going to piss so many people off. Pat Ngongba is an instigator to the full.
Right. So, I mean, but he's physical. So Duke has, I think this year they have more depth and they got a little bit more edge. And, obviously the coach has edge. But I think this is going to be, I hate that they're playing right now. I hate that Florida's playing Auburn again. And it's set up kind of maybe,
we need a round robin between these teams.
Yeah. You need to have like a little quick tournament, like a little, little winter jam there and get going. But, look, man, I mean, if you can get one of the Duke superstars in foul trouble, this game definitely goes to Houston. I think Houston has to force the action. Alabama played too soft. And I think if you force action against them within your identity,
within what you want to do.
Yeah. And then you'll be just fine. So, especially if Roberts really plays well, keeps everybody honest inside the paint. I think, the advantage goes to Houston, but it's going to be a tough game.
I have to agree. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the show. I am out in Vegas, for those of you who didn't know. Looking at these teams, Jay, there's a couple of teams that really stood out to me in terms of how they compare to Nebraska men's basketball, right? Not the year that the Huskers wanted, but among teams in the field relative to the competition, they did have a pretty good year. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the field. We'll talk a little Nebraska and Arizona State and plenty more when we get back to On the Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with the roof credit, 0% is standalone.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through April 1st is $1 off all pasta, $2 off spaghetti sauce, and special discounts on hamburgers. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney and Lincoln, or also at 168th and Maple Streets in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
No Strick just yet. Austin Norman and Jay Foreman with you on the Block, brought to you by 93.7 The Ticket, and of course by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. I'm out here in Vegas. Jay's holding down the fort at 1040 O Street. Jay, let's just start with this. If you're playing in the college basketball crown, you probably didn't have exactly the season you were looking for, right? So I know we've talked a lot of Husker basketball about the season, but when you're not in the NCAA tournament, especially when you're not, in the Final Four, you haven't had the season that you've wanted to, with a few weeks, gone by since Nebraska last played a game, having missed the Big Ten tournament. Has anything you thought about the season that Nebraska men's basketball had, has it changed at all? Or do you still have kind of the same opinion you had on how you thought the season went overall?
I mean, obviously it's, disappointing, obviously, that they weren't able to, make the tournament, but I don't think it's anything where, you carry it onto like what they're going to do right now, which is trying to, make the best of the situation. I think obviously it's just it goes without saying, a lost opportunity or opportunities. And, that's the crazy thing about sports. I always talk about watching the clock. Sometimes you could look at the schedule and be like, okay, we just need one more game. We'll win this one. We beat them before this, that. And sometimes it's a hard learning lesson, but I think they know what, I think this time off has probably given them enough time to get over the initial shock of not making it, disappointment, refocus. I'm sure they've been able to go out and recruit, re-recruit the guys on the roster, re-motivate, and then try to put on their best effort. I mean, I still think they have some players that are truly invested still, which obviously probably bodes. I think it means or shows a lot more than just them playing, meaning that, I'm sure Bryce has a draftable grade, right? I mean, I'm guessing he's going to go play somewhere professionally, NBA, G League, or, over in Europe. He very easily said, you know what, I've done enough. It was all conference. Maybe could have been player of the year. I'm going to go work on me. But he didn't, and same with Juwan. So I expect them to perform well, but I think everything that they need to work towards next year is already in motion, but they're going to deal with the present.
I think so as well. And that's where I think a big part of this tournament is number one, that it is pretty much the same roster for Nebraska. Raleigh Wooster is out. Braxton Mia is questionable. Otherwise, you're rolling with the same guys. I do wish, Jay, that college basketball had the rule like football, where your postseason appearances didn't count against your eligibility. So you could see a Janowski or Frager or a Bolus in action, for example, without having to worry about their red shirt. Nebraska's opponent tonight, though, Jay, feels a lot like Nebraska in a lot of ways, right? I mean, 4 of Arizona State's top 5 scorers are seniors, right? That tells you it's supposed to be an older team, a veteran team that was supposed to win more than 3 games in conference play. Nebraska went 7-13. Arizona State only won the 3 conference games in the Big 12. So Arizona State, 4 of its top 5 scorers are seniors. Same thing for Nebraska. The difference is Arizona State's 5th leading scorer in that bunch was Josen Sanan, who is a freshman and who will not be playing with Arizona State. Because why? Because the transfer portal came calling, and he already committed to St. John's, and he will be playing for Rick Pitino next year. The 5th guy for Nebraska is Connor Esijan, who was a junior. Arizona State will also be without Jaden Quaintance. He's one of the youngest guys in college basketball, super athletic, big man. He's dealing with a knee injury. He was thought of as a potential one-and-done guy before the year, except that he had to stick around for another year because he's too young, right? We hear a lot about like Cooper Flagg reclassifying up. Jaden Quaintance is even younger. He averaged 9 and 8 for Arizona State this year. But Jay, when you look at both of these teams, they both have a 6-game losing streak, and both teams enter this game on a 5-game losing streak, separate from their 6-game losing streak. And I think both these teams, Jay, especially their head coaches, right? Bobby Hurley, Fred Hoiberg, experienced college basketball players, really darn good college basketball players in their own right. They both knew what they had to do to compete in their conference from where they were was to get old and to stay old. We certainly have heard that from Nebraska and from Fred Hoiberg. But this is kind of the microcosm of what you see when you get old, but not necessarily consistently talented across the board, right? Both these teams, I think, built a roster with a high floor in mind, but we're seeing that, that the ceiling wasn't really there for either of these two teams consistently, and that the floor dropped out at times despite having older guys on the roster.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like when you look at Nebraska and there's there are similar as Arizona State, but I think the magnitude of, I guess, the disappointment is not the same. And the reason why I think is probably how it's handled. I think the way Coach Hurley is he's had numerous outbursts after the game. How even in the, post-game press conferences leading up to games. And then it seemed, and it's weird that they're playing Arizona State because he was on obviously on ESPN, and for some of the, I guess, antics per se, that there was a notion or assumption that the team had, kind of packed it in on him. Whereas I never felt like Nebraska players quit. I just felt like they just didn't get out of their own way, didn't play well. They're maybe not cohesive. Now it's tomato, but I think, all situations aren't created equal, even though they look similar. I think when you peel back the stinky onion, one smells a little bit stinkier than the other, but ultimately it all could be remedied by practice, reinventing yourself, really getting hyper-focused on a short-term goal. But it'll be interesting to see what seniors really step out. I'm assuming that really Bryce and Juwan are going to come out and hopefully, play with really good force. And because I think, unlike Nebraska, I think Arizona State is a team that's ready to go home.
But Nebraska hasn't made those types of teams roll over and quit all year. Right. In football, in basketball, we've seen different Nebraska programs face opponents at this point. But Nebraska, didn't make Iowa pack it up and go home. An Iowa program that fired its longtime head coach right after the season, right? Iowa was ready to quit. They were only playing for their head coach who was fired anyways, and that was enough. Minnesota, had just as much to play for, if not less, as Nebraska did. And Minnesota came in and punched Nebraska in the mouth and got out with a victory, right? Ohio State, Nebraska didn't necessarily match them. So I completely hear what you're saying, Jay, but I don't know if I'm going to believe that Nebraska is going to want to make a team pack up and go home just because I haven't seen them do that recently.
Right. And, if there's ever a perfect time, I guess I'm holding out hope like Nebraska football was in the bowl game. If there ever was a perfect time to, there's always a time that you can get right. If there's a perfect time to reset, refocus, and kind of give you a glimpse into, even though it's the same players, of what 2025 could be, would be a different looking team coming out and playing with true, I guess, natural force. Meaning like this is our focus. Kind of like when they played Oregon State, where you feel like, okay, Bryce got busy, even though you know what I mean, and you knew what they were there for a purpose. Like when the football team, I think, really took it as 2025 started in the bowl game. So if they can do that, I think it'd be great. But you're right, they haven't been able to have that killer instinct or that throw the first punch, and the last punch and everyone in between type of mentality.
They'll throw the middle punch quite often, but they'll start slow. They won't always close games. So again, I think this is a great point, Jay. If we're to believe Bryce Williams when he says, he wanted the chance to put on a uniform again, he wasn't ready to be done. If we want to believe Juwan Gary when he talks about how much Nebraska means to him, even though this isn't the NCAA tournament, there's no reason that shouldn't be obvious that these guys wanted to come back and play, that they weren't coerced by their head coach. Yeah. People are going to know that, it's the college basketball crown first year of a new tournament, but that's no reason to come out flat, right? You said you wanted to play basketball. Come out and prove it tonight.
Yeah. I mean, you're playing against a game opponent. It's not like you're playing like Willie Lump University. So, they're going to fight back as well. And, it's the first year of the crown and you didn't make it, but you can't really change that now. Now you got to really try to, really have the rallying cry. Kind of like when Strick's team went and won the NIT. They probably should have been in the tournament, but they really got over themselves, out of their feelings, and say, you know what, we're gonna go, make chicken salad out of what, and we're gonna put and you know what, nobody talks about the 9-10 games that they really stunk it up in the middle of the season. They talk about how they ended, and so if they can focus on the first year, let's set this party off. obviously led by their senior players and their more ready players, they'll be just fine. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they come out and play. And I think it's more on a optics. I think this game is more about optics. You want to see them become, and the optics are, when they are ready. I'll say this: little I know about basketball. When Bryce is ready to play, right? When Jawan's ready to play. They're playing a certain way. You don't got to be a rocket scientist. Exactly. And then when this team is ready to play, right? The action is really good. There's no defensive lapses. There's no kind of like looking at each other. The communication is great. You can really get that back and maybe you get more time to get away from it, get refocused, and kind of like it's almost like this is the first game of a football season where you can really come in and play your best game, and then you go from there.
And I think that, as much as we're talking about Bryce Williams and Jawan Gary, Andrew Morgan is on his way out, Aaron Eulis as well, Braxton Mia if he plays, right? I mean, they honored 7 seniors. Those are all guys who are putting on a college basketball uniform for the final time tonight. But as much as this tournament, Jay, is a send-off for those players, it's also, a re-audition for Connor Essegian, right? This is the exact type of game against an opponent that doesn't really know him, that doesn't know Nebraska. This is the exact type of game and exact type of setting that I think Connor Essegian could have a big weekend and really reestablish himself in Nebraska's plains. Bearcade Boyuchenjal, you had 3 weeks off. Let's see what you were looking like, from Ohio State the first time before you went down at the end of that game with a sprained ankle, right? Like, prove that you're a part of the long-term plans. Even Sam Hoiberg, right? You've had 3 weeks. Show us that you can do more than just be a defensive spark plug. Don't play outside yourself. Still play your role, because what's most important is this game for this team, not next year's team. But there's a lot of guys on the roster, Jay, that can really cement themselves and set themselves up for a good summer into a good fall to set the tone for their role next year.
Well, I mean, this is like you said, for the guys that don't get to play because of the NCAA rules, and hopefully they change that, have a certain number of games that, that redshirt guys can play. You're 100% right for Connor Essegian. This is a game where, all right, I want to cement myself as a starter and not just kind of a delicacy type of player, right? Just like, all right, here he comes, he's going to shoot threes. I want to really work at my game as far as like kind of like how Casey went from year 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, get better at being more effective off the ball, right? Creating more easy shots and being more creative as far as, assisting the ball. But then also you want to show that you can play some defense as well. And and not saying that he doesn't play at all, but I'm just saying this is a great time for him in a small, quick vacuum. It's the last game that, or one of the last games that you'll get to see. Whereas like, that's what they'll focus on. Like, yeah, it took a little while for him to adjust, but man, he played really good after a little bit of a break and he really got it going on. We feel really good about him being our number 2 next year. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, we've seen, and he's played better defense down the stretch. So I don't want to be sitting up here like he's not, but then it's like, man, we've seen consistent effort and improvement on defense. So now for me as a player, I'm looking at it. So if you're going to poke holes in my game, I want them with little pins, Harrison. I don't want you to be having big holes in my game. And so it's a great opportunity for him to, make some money. I mean, heck, let's be honest. They bring you back, and you play well, they got to give you a little bit more change, right? And cement yourself. Ain't nothing like that. You can go down to, there'll be plenty of little trips there to, Misty, BW3s. All the, you can go out to Mercado. I don't know if Connor Essegian knows how to do anything on the grill though. He is.
You don't think he seasons his meat?
Is he from Wisconsin?
He's from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, what's Indiana? They probably, let's see, Fort Wayne, Indiana. They definitely don't have any ribs out there. No way. No way. You know what?
What does their brisket look like though?
I don't think he's brisket. I don't think he has too many barbecue sauce. Here's what I know what Connor Essegian needs to do when he goes to Mercado. He needs to go get some ground beef, right? Certified Piedmontese ground beef, and get him some beef or pork hot dogs. And I know he could. I know he can do that. And then once he passes that stage, Austin, then you could probably get into pork chops. We get him a little bit, See if he likes cheese on there. If he likes onion in his patties, we could hook him up. Put a little Worcestershire sauce in there.
Raleigh Worcestershire sauce?
Yeah, I think Connor Seaton is somebody that you just can't bring him to the 4th of July or Juneteenth barbecue. Harrison.
Without some training.
Yeah, we got to bring you. We got to break them in easy. We got to get you in like, hey, we watching the late game on Sunday.
We need fall practice for the barbecue.
Yeah, we got to get a couple brewskis in him. Throw on a little, African Bambaataa, see if he's got any little rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Then if he doesn't, then we just got to go. DJ, it was a Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, a little summertime.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of crosses over. Then throw in. We don't want to take him from, that to like Kanye West. We got to kind of get him in the middle.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Stepping stones. But
I think he might. It might be heat check for him quick. A guy like this, especially for a 3-point shooter. This is what I think happens. Sometimes you think you're playing defense in practice. Oh yeah, I got him. Well, then he's been able to work on his shot, and if they run some actions in a secondary break, and he's just firing, he gets a couple good looks. He could have a big night.
I believe it. I also believe we should probably get out of here and go to break. Have a final segment. I'll wrap things up, and then it'll be Jay and Strick when we get back.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast, and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group, trial attorneys you can trust.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
It may not feel like it, but planting season is on its way, and now's the time to upgrade your equipment with a late model John Deere planter from Acres Equipment. Acres has an entire lineup of John Deere planters equipped with the latest technology to ensure planting accuracy throughout your field. And to get you up and going, each planter purchased from Acres includes in-field startup support from one of our Precision Ag professionals. Warmer weather is coming soon, so don't delay. Visit your local Acres for details. Offer expires April 30th, 2025.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I'm back for one final segment. Jay and Strick will carry you through the second hour of On the Block, brought to you by, of course, the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Well, we're on a little bit of a baseball kick here for a second, Jay. The Kansas City Royals are all over the Milwaukee Brewers on the FM dial. At one point, it was 10-0. It's now 10-1 in the top of the ninth. But a big weekend for Husker baseball. They welcomed in a top 10 Oregon State team and won their first series of the year. Nebraska hadn't won a Big Ten series. They're just 2-7 there. Didn't win a series against Louisiana either. What a way to kind of break out of the early season malaise for the Husker. I mean, first time in a long time they welcomed a top 10 team into Hawks Field at Haymarket Park. And then not only did Nebraska win, they dominated 2 games of the series, 7-3 on Friday, got blown out 16-5, but then almost made up for it and then some with a 16-7 win over number 5 Oregon State last night. Heck of a way to get your first series win of the year. But Jay, I'm sure you've been on teams that maybe started the season slow. You play an opponent that everyone says is really good. You get them at home, you win. What can the confidence from a series win like this, or even in the NFL, an upset win, do for a team's confidence at the midway point into the second half of the season?
I think it could do wonders just because you got to, live in the moment. And then, maybe, Coach Bolton and the staff, I think, they've been trying to build towards this. And, obviously Nebraska's schedule is very hard, as far as on paper, and obviously it's played out in different ways as far as I think they probably lost to some teams and maybe got swept when they didn't, obviously think they would. But when your back's against the wall and you've been working towards it and everybody gets hyper focused, I think it was, it could be a catapult for the rest of the season. The most important thing is how long, that lasted. And then, you play an in-state, rival here come Tuesday. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure that you don't stub your toe. It doesn't matter who's on the mound or who's up the plate. The standard is the standard. And I think it's obviously, as the weather has probably gotten better, I think they've gotten used to really seeing live pitching outside versus trying to go down there cold turkey against some teams. And when you don't start out hot or you have some things that don't go your way and you had an unfortunate injury to one of your pitchers, it can kind of, spiral on you. But you got to give them credit to where nobody would have probably looked the other way as if Oregon State would have came out on top of the series. But I think the way Nebraska won really opened some eyes, but then also validated to some of their preseason hype. So right now, they got to keep stacking, practices, batting sessions, pitching sessions, and everything that they got to do about the details to, get on a good winning streak here. And don't look at the record. Just go play good baseball. And when you need to look at the record, you'll be able to write your own story and be able to kind of make it however you want. So, you got to put that Oregon State weekend behind, which is hard because you finally kind of got to, get your head above water and really focus on this week, because this week is what people are going to probably judge you on what you did last week.
I totally agree. That's where you have to take the confidence and the feeling from this weekend, but you can't assume that it's going to happen again, right? Because you had plenty of other opportunities to have a weekend like this against inferior competition. If you can get up and beat the best teams on your schedule, and you have the win over Vanderbilt early in the year, now 2 out of 3 from Oregon State, that's one thing. But I will say, Jay, before I get out of here and turn it over to you and Strick, seeing Nebraska respond on a Sunday was huge, right? You win on Friday, cool, okay, you got the energy in the building. Then you turn around and you get smoked on Saturday afternoon. It would have been easy for the team to hang its head and say, well, we shot the load on Friday, we played our best baseball, and we haven't necessarily played well on Sunday. I mean, the previous weekend, Nebraska got beat 7-1 by USC. Out at UCLA, it was 5-3 in a game that probably wasn't even that close. Nebraska did win on Sunday against Washington after being outscored 17-8 on Saturday in a doubleheader. Lost 9-6 to Kansas State on a Sunday. Lost the last game of the series at Louisiana 10-2. Nebraska hasn't always responded well to that adversity at the end of a series or at the end of a long weekend. So starting it off right, banking the win on Friday, that was the bare minimum. They had to find a way to get one. But I think seeing that resolve right after you win one, you take the gut check then on Saturday. I think finding a way to win on Sunday is probably even more impressive given what we've seen from this team and how it seems like it might have learned how to handle the ups and downs of baseball over the course of a series.
Yeah, it's always good to, obviously get the fruits of your labor, but also I think it builds that confidence that you actually are the team that everybody thought you were. And everybody is, I guess I look at you rather have your lull in the season at the beginning versus at the end. Obviously we've seen that. We just talked about the basketball team. And so if they can really get going and playing some consistent baseball and get some bats, to step up, and guys to play more free, and the inexperienced guys that have probably had good springs and stuff like that in summers, playing in the conference is a little bit different, or playing actually college baseball is a little bit different, And I think this is a constant learning process. But then also for the coaching staff is that they're learning a lot about their players. You got to keep, you got to stay in there with them, because you got to have confidence in yourself and them coming out on the other end.
You absolutely do. Well, thanks for letting me pop on. You and Stricky don't have too much fun without me.
Bring some good luck down there, Austin.
Hey, I'll see what I can do. I have not set foot in a casino yet, so I don't know what my luck is like, if it's good or bad right now.
Well, we're going to see come 7:30 Central Standard Time.
That we will. I'm going to pack up. I'm going to collect my thoughts and head over to the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Don't go anywhere, though. We got more on the block. Strick, Jay, and big thanks to Harrison for running the board. Hour 2 of the show is in just a sec.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit, 0% is standalone.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through April 1st is $1 off all pasta, $2 off spaghetti sauce, and special discounts on hamburgers. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney and Lincoln, or also at 168th and Maple Streets in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Erick Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome back to On the Block. E-Strick here, taking over for Austin and Jay. Jay will return after this hour, but right now it is me. And you know who this is. If you're a WTF fan from on Thursdays from 6 to 7, you know Harrison Arms is our partner in crime there with Cluster Johnson and I. What's going on, my friend? How are you this wonderful and beautiful? Well, let me just say it's beautiful here in Dallas, Texas right now. How is it there for you, my friend?
Yeah, you got out of here at the right time. I'll be honest, yesterday kind of sucked. The weather was not that nice. Today it's a little bit better. I mean, I'm in shorts, somewhat of a questionable choice. It's all right. The weather's fine. March Madness has been good, though. It's a great sports month, so I can't complain too much.
There it is. And speaking of March Madness, we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. I know that they did speak about that some on the first segment, but I want to go a little bit deeper because I want to turn it just into a micro discussion, and that being that the Big Ten does not have representation in the Final Four this year. And we'll run down and kind of talk about it. But more so than anything, even with you, 402-464-5685, would definitely love your thoughts because this is going to not only be a discussion between Harrison and I, we want to integrate you into the discussion because I really want to know how you feel about it. And here's the topic of the discussion. The thought on the Big Ten falling short of the Final Four in the tournament. Now, we can't say that this is a continuation of things, but I would say it's a disappointment a little bit with the performance of the Big Ten in the tournament. Now, the crazy thing about it is they really had great success early on, but then later as we get closer to the Final Four, we've seen there was a great falling off at that point. And so there's questions that a lot of people have, and that's why I want you guys to chime in because I would really like to know 402-464-5685. Is the Big Ten, Harrison, do you believe, is the Big Ten operating just with mediocrity? Is it just kind of hoping that you fall into a good matchup situation or a good side bracket situation to where it just really fits you? Is there just a difference in the conferences, the referees, the physicality of play? It just seems that they seem to come up short. Now, listen, Purdue had a tremendous advantage. Let's go a few years back when they were upset very early by my mind just drew a blank.
Peters?
I don't. Was it? I don't think it was St.
Purdue got upset a few times by these low seeds. It was St. Peter's, Peacocks the one year.
The one before St. Peter's, I believe.
To the 16th seed.
Was it new? Was it? It was. I think it was. I think the one I'm really talking about is St. Peter, because wasn't Smith a freshman then?
I think so. Yeah.
They lost when he was young. When they were young. 402-464-568. Help me out if I'm missing that, but I definitely know what I'm saying. But it definitely was a FDU. That was it.
Yeah, Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson. It was like a David and the Goliath moment. But what was the difference in that game? Yes, they were outclassed in size. Having Zach Edey and physicality on the inside in the front court was phenomenal. But they had young guards. FDU had tremendous guard play. And we've seen that there's a couple of things that can set you apart. Very good defensively. That can help you. That's why you see Houston, Florida's pretty good. Auburn's solid on the D. Guys that are pretty good defensively, on top of when you have great guard play, and then you just have elite abilities to make shots when it matters. And that's how you can seem to work through the tournament. So with them looking at this season, I think there's some things that come into play. What other things do you think when you look at the Big Ten as to why they just seem to come up short when it's time to match up against other elite conferences?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that's always a head scratcher is like typically defenses do pretty well when you get to March Madness. It's consistent, you can bring it over. And I mean, you would think that's one of the strengths of the Big Ten is a lot of their teams are pretty good defensively. Is it a style thing? I want to ask you this because I can't even say it's necessarily a style anymore. I can't, the Big Ten brand of basketball isn't that much different than what the SEC brand is. Outside of maybe athleticism. 10 years back, that was maybe a different story. But now even the brands are pretty similar in all these conferences. I think it's just kind of a lack of recruiting at this point. Like, we just don't have the better athletes. I mean, when you honestly look at a lot of these Big Ten teams, their first real challenge, like for Nebraska, it was clearly outclassed versus Texas A&M. Maryland, one of the reasons why I think they're so good this year is they do have athletes compared to a lot of other teams out there. So honestly, I just think it's one of those where the Big Ten doesn't have the most athletic teams, and when you get to the tournament, they get exposed a little bit.
And I think I'll throw three things out there as to my thought on that, Austin. I think sometimes when you look at the Big Ten, they spend a considerable amount of time focusing on certain things like I think they focus on the regular season, right? It's like a huge focus on who you're playing, knowing you're going to have a gauntlet to run through. And there are different styles within the Big Ten framework, but the ones that usually do well, it has seemed to be Izzo. It seems to be Izzo, what he puts together, his preparation for teams, and they have an ability, it seems to me, Harrison, to play a different style, even depending on what the matchup is. Like some teams, listen, again, Purdue has that, but what Purdue has that's different from in their past is their guard play has equated out and it's gotten a lot better. They shoot the ball well, they're going to defend, and they have a good balance of guys on their team that can do different things. They're just very skilled. They're well coached. That's kind of how they're able to move forward. Same thing with Michigan State. Now let's kind of just run down it real quick and see if we can put our head together, right? Let's just kind of go start at the South. Both Michigan teams were in the South. when you look at the matchups that were going to come towards them, they at some point, and as we see on the top half of the bracket, it was going to come down to Auburn and Michigan. What about Michigan that gave them, they competed. Let's just say they competed. They competed in that game. But what was the differentiator between Auburn and Michigan that ultimately pushed them to a 13-point win? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're going to go with anything against Michigan this year, it's their offense was struggling. So I'm just going to go efficiency.
Right? Now, great size. You have 2 7-footers on the team. I think they didn't have the depth that was needed to go up against a super veteran squad in Auburn. Very physical squad. Now,
which is surprising. I didn't realize they got beat on the glass 48-33. That's a big Michigan team, as you pointed out.
Right? So that's the thing I think for Michigan. I just think that Auburn being probably the eldest of teams in the tournament this year. I mean, their team is dang near close to what Oklahoma City's age, right? Age group is. And so that's kind of unusual, but we've seen that now after COVID when guys are able to extend themselves and play a lot later, we can see that happen. But they ultimately came up short, leading to a great run for Michigan State once again. But that's one thing about Izzo. Shout out to them coming in as a 2 seed. They were going to put it together. They were going to play well. I thought they had a very favorable side of the bracket. And they were going to be tested. I knew they were going to be tested either by Iowa State or Ole Miss, which they ended up facing Ole Miss and getting a 3-point win there, leading them to face off with Auburn. I thought they competed well. I thought they were prepared well. I thought they played well. Just ultimately wasn't able to get over the hump, came up short down the stretch.
Yeah, and I thought this was going to be, if there's a year for Tom Izzo left in the tank, this Michigan State team, based on the run they were going to have. I was talking about this on Sunday. Really, I mean, this has just been a brutal tournament for anybody because it's been all chalk. So even if you're the 1 seed, like if for Auburn's instance, if you're the 1 seed, you draw a good Creighton team next. If you're Duke, you play Baylor in that second round. If you're Florida, you get the defending champ in UConn and Dan Hurley. If you're Houston, the 1 seed over in the Midwest, you got to play Gonzaga, a fringe blue blood team. So the fact that it's just been straight chalk, it's been brutal, but yeah, I mean, for Michigan State, they came just short. It was one where Auburn had, again, I think just a little bit more depth. And when your average age is 23 years old, you're going to be pretty poised in those moments, regardless of how that game's going. I mean, you mentioned it. The average age of OKC is like 24, an NBA team. Auburn's 23. Those guys have been in a lot of games, a lot of close games, and that stuff just pays off a lot. And I think we'll see that more and more as these tournaments go, especially in the era of NIL. Who's got the older team? That's probably a pretty good bet.
And that's how it's kind of played out in the past. But we'll go down and go to the West. And in the West, down there at the 4 seed, you had Maryland. Maryland just happened, obviously Grand Canyon was a big blowout for them. I just think that athleticism, great inside play from Reese as well as Queen. Not as necessarily depth, but all the energy and stuff was able to be put into play. They don't have a lot of depth. Faced off against a tough Colorado State team. A lot of people thought as a 12 seed, they were going to give people problems as they did with Memphis, taking them out early, and they did. But what was the difference in that game was Queen, an athletic, soon-to-be drafted big man, unless he stays for NIL reasons. But I think he could probably go and still do well and land in the lottery somewhere. But ultimately, they were going to face against a very deep, very big, physical Florida team who was really, really good, and they beat them by 16 points. So your take on that and what that looked like?
Same thing. Once again, depth came through a lot. Let me look at it. I just know, just the eye test told me Maryland was getting bodied. The numbers, numbers add up for that. Rebounds on the night, 20 for Maryland, 42 for Florida. Maryland, they just didn't have anything to really compete with that size out there. And the worse the game got, it just wasn't going in their favor at all. Free throws, they did a pretty good job. Everywhere else, they only took 19 threes. They made 6, but again, you didn't take a ton of them. Florida just got more shots and was more efficient with it. They just couldn't do enough to get on the glass. Maryland in that case.
And as we're not going to go into depth on it because there's a couple other things I want to throw out before we go to break. But in the Midwest, you have Purdue. We know that was a great run, and they gave Houston, who is definitely defensively and offensively one of the better teams in the tournament. And we see that by them now reaching the Final Four. They come up 2 points short, and I'm talking they were right there. And I'm going to be honest. I think the refereeing of that game, it was definitely one-sided. Purdue was trying to match physicality. When they did, they got called for it. But then on the other end, they weren't getting the same type of call. So it's unfortunately that they came up a little short. Illinois just ran up against a Kentucky team that was just way more athletic, way more better than them across the board. That's kind of why they came up short. And then as we move up as well to the East, we look there in the East. Oregon goes down to Arizona by 4. I think that was a pretty evenly matched game there, so I'm not going to be, too disappointed about that. I think the one that really surprised me in a 2-point loss was Wisconsin. They just didn't seem to have everything clicking like they had, in Big Ten play and also in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I thought Wisconsin was one of those teams where I didn't feel good about anybody really beating Alabama or Duke once they made it to that point. But I thought, certainly versus BYU, just size-wise. But I'll tell you what, BYU is a good team. I'm not, hindsight being 2020, I'm not even surprised that Wisconsin lost those. BYU is good. That Alabama game where Alabama made an outrageous, they took 53s. I think they made about 26 of them. BYU offense was scoring just right up there with Alabama. Because the end of that game was 88 to 113. Alabama scored 113 points. So the game, although it wasn't necessarily close, BYU was really good offensively. And I just think Wisconsin, despite them having a good day on offense themselves, again, maybe this goes back to the Big Ten argument. They're just not used to a game going up that high at the end of the game where it's you're just trading bucket for bucket in those last 3 minutes.
I think then here's what it comes down to, and we'd love to continue to hear your thoughts, and I'll address some of your text after the break before we talk about the next subject, which is definitely baseball.
And I should say we are live on the brick and mortar again now, Strickland. We wrapped up with the Royals game. Royals win that one 11-1 over the Brewers. So, like Strick said, 402-464-5685. We're officially back on the FM airwaves.
So we're going to definitely talk more about that. But here's what I think. I think there's always what happens with the Big Ten. Here's why. You have the most teams out of your conference that get into the tournament. You have a very good start. I think they started off 8-0 in first round play. And then what happens is all of these big expectations, I think it begins to create this nerve system inside you because you want to continue the run for the trophy. But I think non-conference play is a matter. And the problem with that is a lot of those teams that have done well in the past, your Purdue's, your Michigan State's, a little bit maybe with Michigan, but a lot of them play really sometimes in these little tournaments, these non-con big type tournaments or these matchup games that are in the non-con. And I think that helps them out because what happens is they'll end up getting into the tournament, man. And there's a lot of outside pressure, not only from fans, but from the media. And they end up just basically, squeaking by or getting by. And then when it gets late, it just seems to all fall apart for them. I think that's what it seems, as I look at it from the outside, just watching things over the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think, even when I think of Wisconsin, remember the Frank the Tank era, Frank Kaminsky, I want to say some of their non-con games were a lot tougher as well. Maybe that's the slate that these Big Ten teams got to take is just have some of these. And even in Nebraska's case, I think that helped a lot. You go find a St. Mary's early in the season. those games, you know, you got enough where it's going to move the needle and figure out how good are we and where's the actual top. Because I think St. Mary's was a good little reality check for Nebraska basketball early in the year because we lost that game, you know, and then all of a sudden we got a bunch of weaker non-con teams and we start just rattling off wins. And it's like, oh, this Nebraska team's really, really good. Well, you go back to that St. Mary's, you know, a good non-conference game. We lost that one. We fell on our face. St. Mary's was the better team. So I think it's just a good reality check as well early in the season because certainly it was the case for Nebraska fans. I won't say the players were guilty of it, but I think a lot of fans got really high on this team, you know, and I don't want to say you want to scoff.
Expectations.
Any win's a good win, but the expectations, I think, were higher than what was actually on paper.
Yeah, and lastly, when I look at smaller conferences, right? I think smaller conferences, Harrison, have figured it out. They understand that we just need to be the best at the level that we are. So they have a willingness to step out and challenge their players to go out and compete against some of the toughest of competition out there in the nation. And they know probably they're going to come up short and they may surprise some people. But in coming up short, it prepares them for their conference play, right? And now they're able to do some great things in conference play and hopefully it lands them into the tournament. But it prepares them, I think, for their conference tournament play because they realize they have to win it for the most part. And so knowing that they have to win it by playing those big time games, taking their lumps and getting a taste of the physicality and getting a taste of being in the big moments, when they get into those tournament plays or those conference plays, they're able to meet the challenge. And that's why they end up getting in. Now the last thing about that is why do we see 4 teams? And it's the second time this has ever happened. You know, so that's amazing in itself. I think the last time it happened, I want to say in 2000 or 2008 or something, maybe it was 2000. But I know it's only happened twice. So it's wild. And there's a lot of speculation that NIL had a lot to do with that and just the stacking of a lot of these teams. And those teams are very good. Duke being probably the youngest of that bunch, and the rest of them are have some great veteran leaderships, and some of them have a great balance in their team. So those are some of the things to think about when we look at why the Big Ten is coming up short. We definitely want to hear from you on it, some of your thoughts. We'll address some of those when we come back from break. 402-464-5685 is where you can chime into the conversation. Why the Big Ten has fallen short of the Final Four, not putting the most teams in the tournament, but not able to push any of those into the Final Four. Definitely love to hear from you. We're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to come back and we'll talk about the New York Yankees torpedo bat is what they're calling it. And we'll discuss kind of how that is. I mean, I think one of their first 4 batters that came up to bat with the torpedo bat hit bombs to start off the game. They ended up scoring 21 runs. It's freaking crazy. But the problem is it's legal. And that's not a problem. It's legal. But there's something we can discuss about how we can go forward with the torpedo bat. And we'll do that when we come back on the other side of this break. 93.7 The Ticket.
And on the block on Twitter at Austin Orman, Estrick20, and on the block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through April 1st is $1 off all pasta, $2 off spaghetti sauce, and special discounts on hamburgers. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney and Lincoln, or also at 168th and Maple Streets in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We should be seeing quite a bit of sunshine here for our Monday. Kind of a cool day out there. 54 for a high temperature, light northwest wind. We could see a few showers roll into the region later on tonight. We'll drop down to 40 for a low. Better chance of rain Tuesday into Tuesday night, maybe even some severe thunderstorms as well. High temperatures will get up into the mid-60s then. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Spring is the time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For parties for St. Patrick's Day and Easter or celebrating the NCAA tournament with friends, there's no better dip to bring everyone together and celebrate something from Nebraska. Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Now back to On the Block with Erick Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Shout out to everybody listening. We thank you. We just rejoined. We're back on the FM station right now. So if you're tuned in there, we appreciate you as well. You can jump back on and join the conversation, 402-464-5685. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about Old Dad 34 said, let me see what you got here. He said, Stricky would 19 threes would have been a lot in your day. Because Harrison just said that's not a lot. He just came at you, Harrison, with a little shank.
19 threes? Well, when you're used to watching teams throw up 30. I mean, 19 is a lot. If I said that, then yeah, misquote. 19 threes is a decent amount of threes to take. Oh, Dad, you caught me.
Right?
I'll give it to you. I won't die on that hill.
You won't die on that hill?
No, it's a dumb hill to die on. Like, yeah, 19 threes. That's a decent amount of threes to take it.
Right. So let's get into this discussion because I found it very interesting. When I saw the bat, I was wowed by it. It kind of looked funky, but okay. But what ended up happening out of that is the part that is probably the craziest part of it all is what they've been doing with the bats. I mean, Aaron Judge in 11 attempts, I think as of yesterday, in 11 attempts, he already has, if I remember the quote of that, he has already four home runs in 11 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the exact stat. I'm looking up just some of the absurdity of it right now.
Their team as a whole is crazy. I mean, one through dang near the whole lineup has already hit home runs. It's absolutely crazy. But when you talk about the bat, here's some fact things about it, right? It has just been noted as of yesterday, the Yankees have their own analysts that created the bats independently. So they had their own internal analysts that created the bat. And the rest of the NBA and the rest of the MLB is at a disadvantage. New York has equal access to innovation, which presents a problem for the league. Here's why that's a problem. Because even though the bats are technically legal, but the other teams, this is what's going to make it difficult for the other teams to catch up, because they can't just take the I don't know what you call it, the propriety or the information that the Yankees have done with the bat and then just create their own or just order it from bat companies. They can't do that. Only the Yankees really can do that. So what they would have to do literally is they would have to not only internally themselves create the designs for the bat, they would have to send those orders to a manufacturer. Then they would have to wait for them to be created, shipped before they could be they could actually use them in batting practice or games. That's crazy right there. So that's time. So that's, by the time you can even pull it out, but you're not done because you still have to wait for approval from MLB to make sure of the legality of it. So everybody is behind the curve. Right now, everybody is at a disadvantage, which led Trevor McGill to say this. He basically said, I don't know if it's Bush League. I don't know what it all entails with regards to this bet, but he says, but it's the Yankees, so they'll let it slide. Now, that's the thing right there I want to stick to, Harrison, because that in itself, MLB can't have out there in the atmosphere. Because you don't want the league. You're already having issues and trying to bring back fans. Now, I think if everybody had access to the bats, it would create just a buzz around baseball. It would create more home runs, more hits. Now, pitchers are going to be upset, but no, the pitchers weren't mad when they did something with the balls. Pause. When they they did something, softened the balls up, and no one was able to really hit home runs anymore. But I think this could change the landscape of the game. But did you hear what I said about, one, it's legal. Two, now everybody's behind. What are other teams going to do here, Harrison? 402-464-5685. What's your thought as well? What are other teams going to do now that they have this information? One, on the legality. Do you think they're hiring different types of engineers now to try to figure this out, how we can get caught up in the game? What is it going to do to smaller market teams? Big market teams stepped out there, put themselves first, gave themselves an advantage. Now it's tough out here for everybody in MLB.
Yeah, well, it's not just the Yankees, right? There are some other players in spring training. I know they called out that are on different teams using torpedo bats. I just need to figure out how big of an advantage it is. Because the torpedo bat, I mean, some of the stories, like the guys are just hitting it a little further down than where they're supposed to be. So they'll use the torpedo bat because it just helps where they're normally hitting it. I don't know.
Yeah, it fattens the meat of the head. It fattens the meat of the head. It moved it down because it used to be when I was playing even and up and it used to be that if you didn't hit it in a certain spot, it was a small square area. If you hit it off the end of the bat, you're probably going to get a dribble. If you hit it too close up to the handle, you're probably going to break the bat. But now it's just kind of widened the meat of the bat, so it gives it more area to be able to make full contact on the ball.
Yeah, I want to give it a few more.
Which is legal. It just created more fatness. I guess the weight's still the good. Yeah.
Yeah, the weight's still. Aaron Judge, as some of the texters point out, like Judge isn't using it, and he's still going to be crushing home runs as long as he stays healthy without using a torpedo bat. So, I mean, if the weeks come and it's like, okay, this is becoming a real thing where it's some players, it gives them a huge advantage on their accuracy, then yeah, it's going to be a disadvantage for a lot of those other teams that haven't gotten it going yet. But I'm not going to panic quite yet. I want to see what this looks like for a few more weeks and see if the numbers continue. Because if we take the bats out of it, we've seen crazy home run starts like this before. You know, it's insane, but you know, it could just be one of those fluke things. But if it just keeps going and then they just keep crushing home runs at an unreal rate, well, then you have to keep looking into it. But I'm just not going to panic yet. I think it's more likely that it's been really good hitting than the torpedo bat has officially taken over. Because it's, like I said, I think there's some other players using it. It's not just the Yankees. So we'll see what happens here before I hit the panic alarm and want to make a bunch of rules.
Yeah, I think that's wise just to kind of you don't have enough data. You don't have enough data. You're right. You don't have enough data. For you, I don't think even as a team to just jump to the gun and just start spending a bunch of money on research and development on trying to figure out whether or not this torpedo bat's going to work or not, or if it's going to be an advantage to us. But I'm sure they're watching with a keen eye, no doubt, and collecting data to see if this is something that we need to implement with our team, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting start to the baseball season, though. You can always count on the MLB for having some drama right out of the gates, and the torpedo bats are certainly the one this year. But I don't think they're going to do, like I said, I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot to it. I think in a few weeks, people will be calling it out, but I don't think it'll be much of a story.
All right, there it is. What are you guys? Huh? You
said it could be wrong.
Say it again.
These unreal numbers could just continue, and we just keep seeing crazy home run counts.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our eye on it as well here. We'll monitor it throughout the season. You know, Austin is a huge baseball fan, so I'm sure that he'll also want to chime in this conversation as the data continues to accumulate. But now we're going to come back and have a match point with Love Volleyball Omaha. LOVB Omaha. When we get back, final segment of On the Block, and then Old School will come and take over. Jay Foreman will rejoin the cast when we get back. Right after this, 937 The Ticket on the block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, bestie! Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersOwnCU.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Buffalo Wings and Rings today on 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
We're in Baton Rouge at the original Raising Cane's with the man that started it all.
Wait, are you the Yes Chef guy?
Todd started this place 28 years ago with one goal in mind: making the best chicken fingers in the world. We got their famous box combo, chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, Texas toast slaw, and their world famous cane sauce. Could shed a tear right now.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love. Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Early break, sort of interesting that we could all learn from. He doesn't look at himself just as a running back, he said. I look at myself as a weapon. You should follow suit. I'm not just a radio host, I'm a weapon. You agree? Noted. We're weapons. Weapons. Yes. Weapons of destruction.
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now back to On the Block with Erick Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Final segment here as we talk about Love Volleyball Omaha. They are the sponsor of this segment as we finalize our hour here at On the Block to turn it over to Old School. And here's what I kind of want to just throw it out. One, a comparison, and two, where he fares and is his legacy, not only in collegiate basketball as a one and done, coming into the game as a 16-year-old, dang near 17 years old, and having just a major run. And that's Cooper Flagg. He's already one of probably the top draft pick coming out. There's some that's speculating, will he stay? Did he already make that decision? I have to talk to Austin because Austin would definitely know. But Austin would love this discussion because he is a super Duke fan. But you just can't fight the numbers, Harrison. I mean, it's absolutely crazy when you look at what this young man has been able to do in the time that he's been able to do it in a short one season, where he's probably likely to become the National Player of the Year for the Duke Blue Devils, going for 19 points as a freshman, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.3 blocks. Now, listen, this puts him in a crazy category when you look at what he's done in the postseason. 75 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists in the NCAA tournament, entering the Final Four since 1984. It is a small group of individuals that have been able to do that. Cooper Flagg falls in that category with 2011 Kemba Walker, 2008 Memphis Derrick Rose, 2003 Dwayne Wade from Marquette, Jalen Rose in 92 for Michigan, and my friend, one who has also been on the block, and that's Kenny Anderson, also finds himself in that category. That's really big. Now, last thing, and here's the question to all of y'all. He cemented his legacy as a Duke Blue Devil leader. But when you look at the history of Duke Blue Devil greats, how does he fare? Is he now taken over from Christian Laettner? Or the fact that Christian Laettner did it in a longer span from freshman on up, does that now change the game, being that he could possibly be a one and done? It's crazy, right, to think about.
He's got to go and win it before we get there. But, I mean, with the numbers that he's putting up right now, it's unreal. And not to mention, we didn't even give any of the stats, the percentages, but, I mean, it's about 50, just short of 50% from the floor as a whole, and he's damn near 40% three-point shooter as well. And that's your 6'9" guard. I mean, it's right. If you're looking at just the stats, like, yeah, he is one of the Duke greats. You know, he's certainly going to be above Zion if this run continues. Christian Laettner is a whole new. That's one where I got to talk to Austin Orman again, because that's like, I mean, that's a form of God for those guys. Is Christian Laettner. So I got to figure out, is this run with Cooper Flagg up there with how those guys look at Laettner's runs?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion. And Duke hasn't been able to pull off the big one. Had big talent, just it's been a while since they've been able to pull off the big one. I think the last one was Boozer's run with Battier. Was that the last one? With Battier, Jay Williams,
how far did they get with Tyus Jones?
Dunleavy, and Boozer in that group, and Duhan. Was that the last group?
It could have been, because I want to say the Tyus Jones, they were short as well, and I want to say they made it deep, but I think they fell flat. This would be the last time. But I gotta say though, maybe
isn't that crazy when you think about Duke though, Harrison? That has been that long.
One and dones. That's the thing. That's just the era that kind of killed Duke. It's killed a lot of those great blue bloods, and it paved the way for schools like Villanova and Gonzaga, and now what we're seeing with Arkansas, because those guys had returning players. Kansas, UCLA. When you were the North Carolina and Duke, it's like all your guys were really good regular seasons, but I mean, every postseason you got to restart and build anew, and I think that's the reason why they kind of fell to the side. But now they got to go against Houston. Like, this is the best I felt about Duke in a long time. Houston is, if I could have it any way, if I could draw it up, I'd have Houston and Duke in the national championship. I think those are the two best teams, but they're going to have to decide who makes it in. Houston or Duke, Strick, who do you like? Sampson, he's been kind of flirting with this for a while and hasn't broken in yet.
I think it's time for him to break through, man. I really do. I think it's his time. He's deserving. I remember. I mean, shoot, Sampson was coaching in the Big 8 when I was there. You know, it was crazy. He was early. Let me see. When did Sampson come? Was it right after me or right before I left? I want to say Billy. I want to say it was. I think I had 1 year of Sampson, if I remember correctly. But look, that's a long time. Stricky's mind sometimes don't go that far back, my boy. But nonetheless, man, it's going to be an interesting Final Four. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. We hope that you're excited about it. But we're definitely going to talk about it right here on the block when we talk with Austin Orman. And we definitely will have that backstage conversation with you and Austin Harrison. I definitely would love his thought on you, what he says to you about it as well. But that ends it for me today. And I'm here in Dallas. I will be back in the studio on Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you guys always for tuning in on the block. Joining us next is going to be Jay, Old School, and Harrison. We'll see y'all mañana right here on the block.
Jack Russell